Welcome back to the Great Primeval Show. I am the Archminister, and I am joined by Ancient Realms and Hodgepodge. Today we'll be breaking down Episode 3 of Primeval Series 2, also known as Catfight in North America,
Panic im Park
in Germany, and
Terreur au parc d'attractions
in France. Written by Richard Curti and Bev Doyle, and directed by Jamie Payne.
Blue Sky Park was called Freedom Park in the novelisation, and was filmed at Thorpe Park. Also, sadly, there are no signs of any Ice Age characters. Rest in peace, Blue Sky Studios. Why would you ever just take your protective headgear off whilst playing paintball?
Eat punch, ladies!
Warren inadvertently makes himself the target by going off alone. I don't know how, but the Predator causes him to do a full 360 spin through the air.
Oh no! A tiger! Help! Help!
You could say that his life's warranties expired. And we cut to titles. Abby has upgraded her Mini Cooper in the new timeline. We see Caroline continue to seduce Connor. She tries to hold him up by taking an interest in his subjects.
Try me. I'm interested in animals.
Note how she only lets Connor kiss her on the cheek. You can also see Abby's reflection here. With all three of them in the shot, you can visually see that Caroline is stealing Connor from her. Caroline then sends a picture she took of Rex to an unknown person, though we'll find out who it is at the end of the episode. This 2000s phone has very aggressive sending notifications. The photo of Rex is a screenshot from Series 1 Episode 1, and the cafe was filmed near Albert Dock in London on the River Thames.
This is the only episode in Series 2 which doesn't feature Lester, so Leek is having to fill in his role in this episode, and is pretty impatient as he doesn't have the same chemistry with the team as Lester does.
Chemistry, yeah. It's important.
So, how's your boyfriend?
Fiancé.
We find out that the man from the end of the last episode is Jenny's fiancé, adding another wall between Cutter getting his Claudia Brown back.
Mr. Khan, would you kindly put me in the driver's seat, please?
Mr. Carr, presumably known in French as Monsieur Motor and in Spanish as Señor Automobile, is the only ARC technician to be named. We don't actually see his face here, but we will in the next episode.
I'd like you to meet the Anomaly Detection Device, or the ADD for short. Actually, that's probably not the best acronym, is it? Sorry. Breathe.
Actually, I think it's quite a fitting acronym, considering what you're like, Connor. Following the discovery of anomaly radio interference in Episode 1, and Lester's approving building it in Episode 2, Connor has now built a working anomaly detector with amazing screen graphics and a glorious sound.
Good work.
Congratulations. You built your very own sat-nav.
I believe you can get them dashboard size nowadays.
Way to undermine Connor's work, Jenny and Leek. That face.
I was hoping for something a little bit more compact.
Connor has also made a handheld detector. He says it has a range of 100 meters, but we later see them detecting at a much greater range. This is also the only time we see this prototype handheld. We'll see more solid handhelds in the next episode onwards.
Have you tried beaming up with it yet?
This is a Star Trek reference.
Are you here to help or just to be sarcastic?
Isn't that Lester's job? If you pause and look at the UK map, the ADD has 39 anomalies detected. Of these, there are 24 in England, 8 in Scotland, 4 in Northern Ireland, 2 in Wales, 1 on the Isle of Man, and 1 in the English Channel. Note how anomalies are detected in Northern Ireland, but not Ireland. Hopefully this is just due to Irish independence. Keep this in mind for the novel The Lost Island, by the way. So far, on screen, we have only seen 7 anomalies, not counting the Forest of Dean anomaly reopening in Series 1, Episode 6, or the Spaghetti Junction anomalies seen in Series 1, Episode 4, meaning there have been 32 off-screen anomaly incursions, assuming the detector is indeed working properly as Connor claims.
Technical question.
Yes.
Is the detector online now?
It is?
So it should be picking up every new anomaly.
Yeah.
So why have I just been told that we have a new creature attack?
Leek's dramatic announcement of a new creature attack caused the reliability of Connor's detector into question. These scenes at the Anomaly Research Centre were actually the very first ever filmed by the cast.
This is the first of 2 instances of a Wilhelm scream in the show where someone isn't being attacked.
Claw marks everywhere, he's been ripped to shreds.
Abby and Cutter inspect Warren's body and deduce that it's a big cat from the gnawed bones. Abby also mentions the Wellington Zoo where she used to work.
No radio interference, no magnetic field, no sign of an anomaly.
Connor stakes his life on his new anomaly detector. Interesting to see Cutter questioning it, and Stephen being the one to stand up for Connor here. Abby mentions big cat sightings throughout the UK, which may be a reference to the supposed cryptid big cats such as the Beast of Bodmin Moor.
It could have escaped from a private zoo.
This is a nice moment of the team all working together to solve the mystery. The character interactions and teamwork continues to be excellent until Stephen receives a text from Helen. The music turns sinister, indicating that Helen is starting to drive the team apart. The same music theme is used from when Helen ambushed Stephen in Series 1 Episode 6. Stephen pretends it's nothing. He's not quite under Helen's influence yet. Cutter knows something isn't right as he watches his friend, but both he and the viewer get distracted by Connor defending his anomaly detector. Here we meet Deputy Manager Valerie Irwin, not to be associated with Steve Irwin.
I'm sorry, what did you say your name was? I didn't.
Jenny being mysterious with Valerie here begins her suspicions of the team, which comes to a head near the end of the episode. Interesting that the person who found the body is never seen or mentioned again, despite Jenny apparently heading to see him now. We get introduced to perhaps one of the most annoying yet low-key best one-off characters.
Hiya, I'm Peter. Keep smiling, keep smiling. Hiya, I'm Peter. Keep smiling, keep smiling.
Peter Campbell is the over-the-top manager of Blue Sky Park.
Are you insane? This is peak season. Do you have any idea how much money we're talking about?
There are clear parallels to Jaws, where Campbell is like Mayor Vaughn in that movie, wanting to keep the beaches open, only caring about the money and being stubborn about anyone suggesting otherwise. Both men are idiots.
We need summer dollars.
A big cat just mauled one of your guests to death.
You sure? Did you see it?
Why would anyone lie about this, Peter? He's only half listening to this, not wanting to accept it.
Look, you're gonna have to evacuate this place.
Peter, he's right.
When I want your opinion, I'll ask for it.
Here we see a slightly darker and more controlling side of Peter, as he dismisses Valerie's concerns, even if she is essentially playing both sides here. Jenny shows off her people skills as she makes the diplomatic suggestion of only closing the paintball area, which Mr. Campbell begrudgingly agrees to.
Good with that. Keep smiling.
How dare you give him a non-consensual sticker?
I really want to kill him.
Don't worry, the kitty cat will take care of that. Jenny's PR tactics show Cutter how ruthless she can be.
When an unattended toddler wanders off on his own, we get our first glimpse of the Sabretooth, obscured and hidden in the shadows of the bushes. A really cool detail is the eye shine. Nicely done, Framestore.
I want that baby, Diego!
Tim Haynes can't have been involved in this scene, otherwise this baby probably would have been eaten. I guess the big cat didn't attack due to how crowded the area was?
Maybe the noise will keep the predator away.
Cutter is right, of course. We see people playing and riding bikes right where Stephen found fresh tracks.
Hey, still green. They headed north 2 hours ago.
As Cutter and Abby head to join Stephen, they leave Connor behind to keep watch over the park.
Hang on, what am I supposed to do if I do see something? Talk it to death?
Cutter reluctantly gives Connor the keys to the gun cases. Whilst Connor does genuinely have a good point, the subtle cheeky grin he gives shows he probably just wanted to have a gun because it's cool. The early 2000s song playing here evokes so much nostalgia. Connor gets easily distracted by Caroline's text messages and neglects his duties. And Connor sitting on the watchtower chair is another similar scene to Jaws, where Brody looks out over the water for danger. We don't see what Caroline messages back to Connor, but he's certainly excited by it, but it doesn't last. Sutton's screams bring Connor into action. Grabbing the biggest gun, he yells for guests to get out the way as he shoots the attacking predator. Oh, wait, it's Peter Campbell. So this guy knows there's a team of expert animal specialists looking for a dangerous big cat with live ammunition, and he decides that the best course of action is to dress up as a furry, hide in the bushes and scare his guests. Then he acts all shocked and surprised when Connor mistakenly shoots him, thinking he's actually a big cat.
Hey pal, you just blowing from Stupid Town?
You shot me!
Can we just point out that Connor has impeccable aim from that distance, landing a clean headshot. Lucky that Peter's lion mask was high enough to absorb the impact. This scream might just be as iconic as the Wilhelm scream.
I'm calling the police. I could have been killed.
Afraid that won't do you any good. I've spoken to the police, Mr. Campbell, and they won't be taking any further action.
So if Jenny and Leek's power combined can presumably keep the police from taking any further action, then why can't they just close the whole park whilst this is happening? Huh.
Why don't you tell them it was just a silly stunt that went wrong?
Connor is incredibly lucky his work covers him for rampaging with a gun through a theme park full of families and young children.
And of course, you must let us pay for a new costume.
Alas, Peter will never get his new fairy costume. Spoilers?
If you'll excuse me, I've got a train to catch. I have to be at head office tonight to try and explain why someone was shooting at our guests.
It's hard to take Peter seriously here with his goofy lion costume still on. Jenny and Cutter don't seem too upset with Connor, as it was mostly Peter's fault.
It was an accident.
There are no accidents.
The team has gathered intel on the nearby West Farm, the owner of which used to import exotic animals, but lost his license due to bringing in lion cubs for a
private zoo.
Stop it!
Wow, Abby, twice in one episode? Steady on. We get some cheeky banter between Cutter and Abby as...
Obviously doesn't trust you with the public.
Why is that funny?
Once Cutter arrives at the West Farm, he is greeted by snarling from inside a locked barn, before we meet Mr. West himself. This guy looks suspiciously like the cleaner. Maybe it's his long-lost brother Becca speculates about.
From the James Lester Animal Foundation. You've probably heard of us. No.
It's funny because Lester hates the creatures at this point. After Nick's blunt attempt at trying to get West to open the barn, Jenny arrives and we see her more refined people skills working with ease. Cutter instinctively grabs Jenny's arm, ready to protect her, but when they see it's just quote-unquote guard dogs, they depart.
You're a flirt.
What?
You were flirting with him.
I was just being friendly.
You're just jealous, Nick.
Listen, you do the creatures, I'll do the people. Deal?
It's probably for the best, but Cutter isn't ready to admit defeat yet. That night, we see the team gearing up to search for the cat in the paintball forest area. Using infrared goggles is another unique method we see the team using. It's great to see Cutter living up to his team leader role when warning them to be vigilant against a nighttime predator. Though Connor is still denied a gun and has to stick with Abby.
What? Can I have a gun?
Take a wild guess.
No?
Good guess.
Although you do look really hot through these.
It's infrared, Connor, not X-ray.
Still nowhere near as creepy as Series 1, Connor. The music and sound design in the scene is wonderfully tense. Stephen finds Valerie and her supposedly broken down car in the woods and offers to drive her home. She subtly tries probing Stephen for information on what they will do with the big cat when they find it.
Look, Valerie, I'd love to tell you more. I mean, there are things happening. Things we're trying to keep under control.
Things you've done, you mean?
I can't say anymore.
You can really tell just how badly Stephen wants to spill the beans here, possibly due to Helen's influence. With very choice words, he gives Valerie hints that there is in fact something going on, unknown to the general public. It's especially interesting as we find out later that both parties know more about the situation than they're letting on here. A great performance from Jim Murray, as well as Gillian Kearney as Valerie.
Having changed out of his furry costume, Peter Campbell, now in a suit, heads towards the train station when the bushes start to take offence to him. For an ambushed predator, this cat makes so much noise.
There!
Peter flees into the station building to hide, barricading the door and unintentionally setting off a jukebox in the process. The song that plays here is Get It On by the band T-Rex. Ironically, this is also the best portrayal of T-Rex in the show. We get a lovely obscured shot of the cat pressing its paws against the glass. It's so creepy.
Let's show that human what happens when he messes with sabers.
In his panic, Peter decides to run all the way up, across, and down the bridge to the other platform, only to stop and call for help at a help point.
Just run! Just run, mate! Help me! Please, help!
The Predator obviously didn't get the memo about train lines in the UK being live, and steps across easily.
Oh my god!
Mr. Campbell, whilst being a furry, is not open to hugs from real furries. Stephen and Valerie are somehow close enough to hear the ungodly screams and stop to go and investigate. As our beloved and cheery smiling encourager, Peter Campbell loses a fight with a kitty. Serves him right for assaulting Cutter with that sticker earlier, and for just existing. I guess you could say that Mr. Campbell's life just petered out. Kenny the train spotter documents the whole encounter with his fancy camera. Also, rather ironically, the writers do not kill Kenny.
Oh my god! They killed Kenny! You bastards!
Hello, can I help you? Is anyone there?
UK customer service. Very accurate. Stephen moves to get a shot of the cat before Valerie plays dumb and deliberately scares it away into the night.
I don't eat junk food.
Stephen then tells Valerie to drive herself home, but she once again feigns being scared and asks him to go with her, as the cat's roars echo in the darkness. I wonder when Valerie realised that it was her boss who just died. What if she orchestrated this whole thing when she found out where Peter was going to be and released her kitty to deal with him? Damn, that makes way too much sense. The train station was filmed at Ropley Railway Station.
As Cutter said back in Series 1, Episode 4.
Smilodon. Its literal meaning is knife tooth. They're up to 3 meters long. They have saber teeth. They hunt in packs. They're ruthless predators.
It is often incorrectly called the saber-toothed tiger.
There is no such thing as a saber-toothed tiger.
Even though it is not closely related to modern tigers, as it was a member of the Machairodontines, an extinct subfamily of cats, which all had large canines of varying sizes. There are 3 known species of Smilodon, all living in the Americas during the Pleistocene epoch around 2 million to 10,000 years ago. Smilodon gracilis from North America, which is the oldest and smallest species and thought to be ancestral to the later 2, the larger S. fatalis, also from North America, and the third and largest species, S. populator from South America. It seems most likely to be Smilodon populator, given its large size, typical of primeval creatures. This is the 3rd Smilodon model made by Impossible Pictures, the first being in Walking with Beasts, and the second in Prehistoric Park, and it's probably the weakest of the bunch. I think the reason for that is that they tried a bit too hard to make its face very expressive, but it ends up looking kind of silly at times. Whilst its ocelot-like coat is very nice and fits with the South American cat species look, the fur texturing just looks a bit off, perhaps too flat and smooth on the skin. In terms of accuracy, it's honestly really good, except for one small detail. Its claws are always out, whereas cats keep them retracted most of the time to keep them sharp. There have also been theories put forward of Smilodon having soft mouth tissues like lips covering its sabers, but this wasn't until long after production had ended. Interestingly, the photo of Valerie holding the cub appears to use a retextured version of the cub model from Prehistoric Park. The team arrives and take Kenny into custody, while Connor tries to see the creature on the CCTV.
How can I make your life better?
I'm sorry?
Be amazed at what I can do.
Whoa, steady on there, Jenny. You only just met this Mr. the Train Spotter bloke. This face needs framing and putting in an art gallery.
Want to see the UFM 160 track inspection vehicle?
It's the little things in life, I suppose. With that, Mr. the Train Spotter hands over his SD card and heads off on his merry train spotting way.
You're a real piece of work, aren't you?
Cutter begins to appreciate Jenny more as he sees more of Claudia in her, Connor finds an article online about the Smilodon and Peter Campbell's death. Very interestingly, the photo and article seem to be from Kenny, yet he made no mention of it, and posting online was quite hard back in 2007 without internet connections. Yet Kenny seemed shocked that no one knew about the Smilodon. Maybe he had a laptop with him that he used to upload the images from his camera's SD card? I don't know, it's kinda confusing here. Dramatic zoom in to the knife tooths. Knife teeth?
Wow.
This one shot of Cutter saying wow seems to be shot in a different location, as the lighting is different and it seems like a very odd cut. After the attack, Stephen drives Valerie back.
Please tell me what's going on, Stephen. I know you want to.
Look, we're the good guys, Valerie. At least I think we are.
It's interesting hearing Stephen essentially thinking out loud to Valerie. Odd that it's to her of all people. Maybe because she's an impartial outsider to the Ark's operations?
Some very Walking with Beasts-esque music here. This is the first time we see the cat in the daytime, and its fur pattern is glorious. I wonder if any of those people on the roller coaster spotted it. They probably thought it was Peter Campbell in the lion costume again.
Keep smiling!
Valerie comes to see the team, though she brushes off Stephen saying how she got her car fixed. Our first hint that maybe she's hiding something. This is reinforced by her getting upset when they mention that they're still setting traps for the creature, though Cutter thinks that she's upset because of Peter Campbell's demise. Rest in peace. The team dig out a large pit, with Abby piloting a JCB excavator and then covering it with foliage. Another unique method of tracking/capturing the creatures in this episode.
Do you want to see inside my JCB?
Oh, Abby! Whoa! Stop digging!
Whilst digging the pit, Cutter discovers the muddy hand of a dead body. Funny to think how if they'd dug this trap literally anywhere else, they would never have found this body. We love plot conveniences. However, before Cutter can properly investigate the body, a raw heralds the arrival of the Sabretooth.
Hello, ladies.
Cutter is very lucky the Smilodon doesn't jump down in the pit with him, nor can reach him from the ground. We get a really cool fight between the Smilodon and Abby in the JCB. She's very lucky the Smilodon doesn't attack her in the cockpit, as we've established it can break through glass. Cutter climbs out of the pit and draws the cat's attention to give Abby some time to tranquilize it. He runs off into the trees and shows some impressive athleticism, as the Smilodon is absolutely hoofing it. He manages to climb a tree, but as the cat tries to follow, he then utilizes the zip line by using his belt. He's lucky his pants didn't fall down. The Smilodon now chases, keeping pace with him on the ground. If you watch this scene carefully, you can see several things. Here you can see he's actually using a safety harness, and the belt is frame stored over the proper zipline pulley. This is Dougie's stunt double without a harness and hiding his face, and these shots had Dougie going down with a cameraman. Abby tries to shoot the Smilodon, but it escapes by jumping away. Very lucky that the Smilodon didn't get Cutter here. It seems to be scared off by the gunshot. However, this is one of the more blatant uses of Cutter's plot armor.
Cutter returns to the scene of the crime and digs out the body. This is when the team likely called Sleek Leak onto the scene. This is also when he's made aware of the Smilodon. More on this later.
Savaged. He's virtually cut in half.
How long's he been here?
I don't know, about a week.
Well, if the body's been there that long, then the anomaly could have fallen before the detector came online, which would mean there's nothing wrong with it, guys.
This is the first instance of an anomaly opening and closing before the episode's setting. Unfortunate timing for Connor and the detector, I guess.
West.
What?
Jenny needed someone to pin an escape line story onto, and she said this man West fitted the bill. She wanted to create a cover story for the press.
Leak says that Jenny went to West Farm to pin a cover story on him, presumably acting on her own in the best interest of keeping everything covered up. Surely nothing will go wrong.
Get it!
Give me the gun.
Well, that escalated quickly. Luckily, before he can get any further, Stephen, Connor and Abby arrive to rescue Jenny from West's unbridled rage. Connor's also not allowed a gun, so spade?
Shot him though! My best coat!
Damn, Jenny. Absolutely savage.
Sabretooth. What do you want about?
Well, if West is acting, he deserves an Oscar. He's got no idea what we're talking about.
Stephen quotes a line usually said in crime shows, and Connor is finally given his own gun.
Happy now?
Oh, yeah.
Upon examining the body, Cutter finds his wallet still on his person, revealing his identity to be Valerie's former boyfriend Dave.
Hey, did you just take his wallet? He just took that guy's wallet!
We then see that Valerie is keeping the Smilodon at her house in the garage. Her car is seen driving away, so we assume that she's left her house. Cutter then arrives and begins to look around for information. He finds a picture of Valerie with a young Smilodon. However, he foolishly leaves his gun behind.
Stephen, it's Valerie. She's hiding the Sabretooth. I'm at her house. We gotta find her fast.
On their way to her house, the rest of the team spots Valerie's car driving away and give chase. We get an excellent exterior sweeping shot of the team whilst driving. However, Valerie has tricked the team by getting a mechanic to drive her car. Is it me, or does this guy look like another relative of the cleaner? He even says the same line.
Oh, don't shoot me! Whoa! Don't shoot!
As to be expected, Cutter is ambushed by Valerie, who is home the whole time, and using his own gun he left unattended.
You give me a fright there.
Cutter tries to defuse the situation with humour, but Valerie is kind of unhinged at this point. However, it seems she's a very overly protective mother, as she rationalises her action as just looking after her baby. Not confirmed or anything, but it's possible that she's compensating for a lost child.
You created him in some kind of horrible genetic experiment, didn't you? He escaped, and now you've come to take him back. Well, I won't let you!
Whilst I can understand her being suspicious of the team hunting it, it's not explained where she got this experiment idea from.
Please don't lie to me. I'm not stupid.
Ha! Oh, sorry.
I'm gonna take him somewhere safe and tell everyone what you've done.
Interesting only now that the team are hunting her fur baby that she decides to hide him and tell the press about this. It seems to be a last resort because she's incriminated as well.
It was an accident. Dave got careless. He didn't know how to handle him.
Seems like she panicked and wasn't thinking straight after her boyfriend was killed by the Smilodon, and buried his body to try and hide any possible evidence, but didn't think to remove any belongings, such as his wallet, if the body ever happened to be discovered.
I went into my garage one day, and he was just somehow magically there.
From this we can infer that a Pleistocene anomaly opened in her garage some years ago. This also explains why there's no anomaly alert, as this happened way before the Anomaly Detector was even built. Cutter tries his hardest to remain calm and talk Valerie down. However, I think even Jenny's people skills couldn't talk her down at this point. Some people have complained that Valerie is over the top here. However, I think the actress portrays an unhinged individual perfectly throughout this scene, as is quite tense and keeps building and building until...
I can't abandon him now.
The subtle growl of the Smilodon sounds from somewhere unseen in the house, before it's shown walking up the corridor, which looks very spooky with the eye shine. The music brings in very unnerving vocals to set the mood.
No. If he kills me, he's probably gonna kill you too.
We get an awesome scene of the Smilodon chasing Cutter throughout the house. Throughout, there's excellent interaction between the CGI Smilodon and the real environment. Scratching the table, shoving Cutter around and destroying doors. This thing is unstoppable. The shaky cam is welcomed here as it creates disorientation and tension as Cutter desperately tries any door and object to escape and defend himself. Cutter eventually escapes onto the balcony, however... Nowhere left to run, Cutter has no option but to jump to the ground. This is a great moment where the Smilodon takes a second to spot him. Nicely done, Framestore. This shot from below of Cutter hanging and dropping to the ground was done with a stunt double. As Cutter lands, you can see he's injured one of his legs. But he can't stop now as the Smilodon is still following and arms himself with a pitchfork. Only now, when her fur baby is threatened, Valerie runs out of the house.
No, Valerie! Valerie! Stay!
She attempts to calm it, however it's in full frenzy mode here, and has to lash out at the nearest thing when Valerie foolishly tries to pet him.
I want a mall!
The team finally arrived too late, and the Smilodon is tranquilized.
Poor Taggy Waggy.
Though Valerie's body is never shown after she's killed, the character's reaction tell the story well enough. Cutter's distraught, Connor removing his hat, Jenny's shock, Abby unable to look, and Stephen's anger.
How many more Valeries are there gonna be before we just start telling people what's going on?
This furthers Stephen's belief of telling the public of the anomalies.
He said something to her. Something that made her think we were to blame.
It's likely that Stephen's talk to Valerie earlier had led her to this path. However...
I didn't say anything. I wish I had.
Stephen rightly implies that if he'd been allowed to tell her the truth, then she'd likely still be alive. It's hard to say who's in the right here, but this is another wedge between Stephen and Cutter's ideals and friendship.
Back at the Ark, we see Cutter in one of the labs when Leek informs him that the Smilodon supposedly died whilst being transported back to the Ark.
How's that possible? It was a perfectly healthy animal.
Even though the Smilodon tried to kill him hours ago, very nice to see that Cutter holds no ill will against the time-displaced creature.
Maybe Abby overestimated the tranquilizer dosage.
No, don't you dare. Abby knows exactly what she's doing.
It's touching to see how defensive Cutter gets when Leek questions Abby.
The creature's been destroyed.
If this sounds suspicious, it's because it is.
I mean, we have to be aware of the risk of disease.
It's likely the other deceased creatures like the Gorgonopsid, dodos, parasites, Anerognathus, future predators, raptor head, and fogworms were also destroyed for this reason, likely by cremation.
Now, if you forgive me, I want to go home. This whole experience has been totally exhausting for me.
Leek isn't quite up to the stresses of heading the operation like Lester, but he also may be referring to having to transport the Smilodon to his creature prison. If you look on the light boards at the back of this scene, you can see graphic diagrams about past creatures the team have encountered, including Coelosaurus, Hesperornis, Arthroplura, the Gorgonopsid, and Pteranodon, among several other indiscernible diagrams. After stressing all episode, Connor finally gets gratified with a real anomaly being detected.
Yes! It's working! It's actually working!
It's working! It's working!
We don't get to see where this new anomaly is located or find out what time period it links to. This has led to some fans thinking it's the future anomaly in the next episode. However, it can't be, as we see that anomaly getting detected in that episode, and canonically, there are 2 novels between episode 3 and 4, Shadow of the Jaguar and The Lost Island. It also can't be the anomaly dealt with in Shadow of the Jaguar, as the main detector isn't designed to detect anomaly signals outside of the British Isles and its surrounding seas until after Series 3. As the team head off to this new anomaly,
Oh no, I can't. I've got a date with Caroline.
Bummer.
Poor Connor, cock-blocked by his own detector. The awesome music playing in this scene is a variation of the title music. Because Connor had to cancel his date, Caroline goes to an abandoned dockside, and it's revealed that she is working for Oliver Leek to spy and report on Connor, and likely Abby too.
Your payment. I think you'll find it's all there.
It's not enough.
That's what we agreed.
This line is very interesting to think about. How on earth did Leek find Caroline and get her to agree to this deal? What kind of profession has relations for money?
You haven't got that little creep Connor trying to put his tongue in your mouth.
We hear Caroline's initial disgust at Connor. She hasn't quite developed respect for him yet. Though while she's being nefarious, we learn that Caroline is just in it for the money and not in on whatever Leek is up to.
I'll be in touch.
We try not to be too opinionated in these breakdowns, but this dramatic reveal of Leek being a traitor to the team is kind of shown way too soon in the series in our opinions.
In closing, episode 3 takes place over 2 days, and there is an intermission between this and episode 4, in the form of the first 2 Primeval novels, which see the team dealing with anomaly incursions overseas. Join us next time for our summary/review of the Primeval novels Shadow of the Jaguar and The Lost Island.
Yeah, I'm sure the world of JCB drivers would love Anna Spirit driving their JCB.